In this video, we'll be taking a look at 5 MLB games happening on August 29th, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 10 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 5 MLB games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start: if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Pittsburgh Pirates vs. Boston Red Sox Friday brings the series opener at Fenway Park, where the Pittsburgh Pirates come in to start a 3-game set against the Boston Red Sox. Boston swept the 3-game set in Pittsburgh last year, and they head into this one in a second-half rhythm that matches the confidence around the club. Their youth movement has sparked real life, with Anthony setting the tone at the top and giving the lineup a welcome jolt. The face of Boston's future, going head-to-head with Skeens, already among the toughest starters around, promises drama, but it isn't the hinge point. The difference comes from Boston's plan to disrupt Pittsburgh's timing by changing looks and sequencing, cycling through arms, and creating uncertainty each plate appearance. The Pirates won't have a thick scouting file on Tolley, and Cora has a knack for pulling the right bullpen levers to win matchups late. The Red Sox offense has also found just enough timely production to support the heavy lifting done by the pitching staff. They're 6-4 over the last 10 meetings with Pittsburgh. As our first pick for this matchup, the Boston Red Sox money line is our full game side pick. This shapes up as a duel between two young arms with real talent. Everyone knows how fierce Skeens can be. He's held opponents to 2 or fewer in 3 of his last 4 and has logged 10 starts this season without an earned run. Tolley is the unknown in a debut, but the profile is imposing. 6'6", 250 pounds, a lefty with a fastball that plays. He also gets an ultra-aggressive lineup, which can feed whiffs when the pitch mix is right. The Pirates have scored 3 or fewer in 7 of their last 13, and Boston has been at 5 runs or fewer in 5 straight. Head-to-head has leaned quiet too, with the under cashing in 4 of the past 5 between these teams. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Seattle Mariners vs. Cleveland Guardians. Seattle gets back on the grind Friday night, opening a 3-game set in Cleveland as the playoff chase tightens and every series takes on extra weight for them. Recent form against Southpaws hasn't inspired much confidence, with a 3-6 slide in the last 9 games started by left-handers underscoring a recurring weakness that's hard to ignore in a matchup like this. Logan Allen has handled this opponent in limited looks, carving out a tidy 2.13 earned run average and a spotless 2-0 mark in 2 prior outings, which sets a tone that favors Cleveland early if he finds rhythm with his mix and command again. George Kirby's track record against Cleveland has been rocky, and the fact that Jose Ramirez and Steven Kwan have historically produced well in this head-to-head softens the perceived edge on the mound for Seattle despite Kirby's overall quality profile. Progressive field tends to make the long ball a tougher path, and for a lineup that often leans into power the way Seattle does, that park dynamic can take some bite out of big inning potential compared to what they can do in their own yard. Add in that the last couple trips to this park have been unkind, and the setting alone feels like enough to tilt small edges toward the hosts even before factoring in matchups and recent tendencies at the plate. That said, the argument for a home underdog has limits when the opponent's strengths align with the matchup, and Cleveland's current issues against right-handed pitching are tough to overlook, especially with one of Seattle's better starters taking the ball. Allen's been wobbly in spots of late, and that opens the door for Seattle to string together enough quality plate appearances to grab control and ride pitching depth the rest of the way. As our first pick for this matchup, the Seattle Mariners money line is our full game side pick. Progressive Field's run-suppressing tendencies should squeeze Seattle's power and keep this one on the lower end of the scoring spectrum if the game script leans into longer counts and bullpen chess in the middle innings. Cleveland's bats haven't shown much lately, and the combination of light contact quality and thin extra base output has been a recurring August theme that caps their ceiling in games like this. Trend-wise, totals have skewed toward tighter outcomes in Guardians games of late, and their profile as a home underdog hasn't translated to frequent overs this season, which fits with a pitching forward path on both sides here. With Seattle's offense likely having to grind out runs and Cleveland leaning on situational hitting, the setup points to a disciplined, low-variance game state rather than a slugfest slugfest. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. New York Yankees versus Chicago White Sox. Friday brings the Yankees to Wright Field for a showdown with the White Sox to kick off the weekend slate. New York looks sharper this week, and Rodon's recent form backs it up, with 28.1 innings featuring just 15 hits and 11 runs allowed as he's leaned on his stuff even while free passes pop up more than ideal. The walk rate needs trimming, but he's still been a dependable arm overall, especially against an opponent that's been profitable to fade for a long time. Gomez should have a little extra juice facing a former organization, yet the broader matchup still tilts toward the visitors over 9 innings. This set lines up as a clean chance for the Yankees to make up ground in the American League East, and the assignment is straightforward: take care of business. As our first pick for this matchup, the New York Yankees to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. White Sox starter Loandris Gomez has taken well to the rotation, stringing together a 2-0 mark with a 2.45 earned run average and a tidy 16.5 KBB over 14 2/3 innings across 3 turns. Expect both starters to keep things under control, with run prevention shaping the tempo more than crooked numbers. Chicago's been under 4 runs per game in its last 10 against New York, and many of those meetings came in the Bronx, which usually plays more hitter-friendly than the South Side. Layer on a recent trend of unders for the Sox against American League East teams, and the setup points to a lower-scoring game script. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Los Angeles Angels versus Houston Astros. It's the first leg of a 4-game wraparound between American League West rivals deep in Texas, with the Angels rolling into Houston to open things up Friday night under the lights. The recent stretch hasn't been kind to Los Angeles after the emotional high of sweeping the Dodgers, and it's shown up in the day-to-day grind as the schedule tightened back up again. Giving up 20 runs to a depleted Rangers lineup on Wednesday was a gut punch, and a single off day rarely flips a team's form when the issues run deeper than fatigue or travel. Christian Javier is still working his way into rhythm after missing most of the season, but this matchup provides a soft landing against a club that struggled to keep games within reach lately. Houston also can't waste chances with a thin margin atop the division, which makes focus and execution non-negotiables against a team it should handle at home. As our first pick for this matchup, the Houston Astros money line is our full game side pick. On totals, Los Angeles has been involved in a lot of high-scoring outcomes this season, with overs cashing frequently and only a few pushes sprinkled in along the way as volatility has followed their pitching staff. Their run profile sits in the middle tier on offense while the run prevention lags behind, and that combination has pushed average game totals into the upper single digits for much of the year. The split on the road trends a tick higher as their pitching wobbles outside Anaheim, which compounds when bullpen leverage spots come early and often. Houston's season-long ledger has leaned to the under more than the over, but its own scoring baseline hovers around 4 per game, dipping a bit at home, which can still get dragged upward by opponent run allowance in the right script. With the Angels leaking runs and Javier still building back to full form, this opener has multiple paths to clearing the number even if it doesn't turn into a full-on track meet. As our second pick for this matchup over the projected total is our full game total pick. Detroit Tigers versus Kansas City Royals. It's an American League Central tilt under the lights in Kansas City on Friday, with the Tigers heading to Kauffman Stadium to take on the Royals as the division race tightens down the stretch. Recent head-to-head form leans Detroit, with a 7-3 mark in the last 10 meetings and a 2-1 edge across the most recent 3 at Kauffman, even as odds makers list Kansas City as the home favorite for this opener. Detroit arrives on the back of a rough series in Oakland that ended in a shutout, and a single off day rarely flips the switch when run prevention and situational hitting have slipped at once. Kansas City hands the ball to Seth Lugo, who has generally played up at home with a mid-3s earned run average in this park, though his recent month hasn't been pristine and demands early crispness with the fastball curve mix. Across the field, Chris Paddock's road lines have been shaky, and a patient Royals lineup that punishes mistakes in hitters' counts can tilt the leverage if traffic shows up early. Given the setup, this feels like a spot where Kansas City's home edge and starter fit can carry the day if the bullpen holds serve late. As our first pick for this matchup, the Kansas City Royals money line is our full game side pick. Both starters have worn some lumps lately, with Paddock running a 1-2 record, 6.2 earned run average, and .288 opponent average over his last 4 turns, while Lugo has a 2-1 mark with a 7.2 earned run average and 1.69 WHIP across his previous 7 starts, pointing to volatility on both sides of the ledger. The bats have been lively enough to matter, with Detroit averaging 4.67 runs across its last 6 and Kansas City at 5.67 in that same span, a combination that invites crooked innings if traffic builds and hard contact follows. Add in bullpen exposure if either starter sputters, and the total has multiple paths to climb past the number in a park that can play neutral until command wobbles and sequencing cracks. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.